The following names, Grigor Narekatsi, Nahapet Kuchak, Bağdasar Tapir, and Sayat Nova, belong to different time periods, but they can be grouped together as the great poets of the Armenian literature up to this time period. Bağdasar Tapir has left behind an unsurpassed collection of poems. He was a multi-talented person who also composed music for his poetry. One of his best compositions is the Heavenly Sleep, which has not lost its vitality until today and continues to be one of the popular songs of the Armenian people. Who was Sayat Nova? This great genius created beautiful literature as well as music. He was considered the best in his genre in the East, who composed and performed in the popular languages of the time, like Armenian, Persian, Turkish, and Georgian. Sayat Nova in Persian means King of Songs. His real name was Harutyun Sayatyan, who revolutionized the Armenian literature and culture. His work is based upon the uncovering of deepest feelings accompanied by philosophical analysis. He was a shining star and a unique figure of his time. Sayat Nova wrote in his mother tongue, Georgian, vividly expressing the beauty of the dialect of the time, and some philologists considered his language a literary language like the Eastern and Western Armenian. This is reinforced by the fact that some of the greatest plays of Gabriel Sandukyan, as well as some of Rafi's works, were written in that language. We have an extensive amount of information about Sayat Nova's life. He was fortunate enough to be the court poet of the Georgian king, King Heracles. However, due to personal differences, he was exiled from the royal court and confined to the faraway monastery of Hakhbat, where he became a hermit. He died fighting against the Persians, defending his city, Tbilisi. He has a unique place in the Armenian literature. After centuries of war and destruction by the barbaric tribes of Central Asia, it was thought that the whole country was in a state of despair. The national and spiritual life was almost non-existent. However, in the Tatev monastery of Syunik, a group of monks began an intellectual movement, which spread rapidly to other parts of the country. This was the dawn of a new page in the history of the Armenian literature. This wave of literary enlightenment was not restricted only to Armenia. It is important to mention the Trieste and Vienna Armenian Catholic educational centers, Mkhitaryan denomination in St. Lazarus Island of Venice, the great educational and cultural centers of New Julfa near Isfahan, and the many educational centers of India. The printed Armenian literature was born in different parts of Europe and India. Many non-Armenian scholars started to take interest in Armenian language and history, mainly Catholic clergymen. A good example is the poet George Gordon Byron, who studied at the St. Lazarus Island and composed the first Armenian English and English-Armenian dictionary with his teacher, Abraham Abgerian. The Armenian history in the beginning of the 19th century is full of bloody scenes. The Persian-Turkish wars, which were fought on Armenian lands, were followed by the long Russian-Turkish wars. Naturally, the political and the social realities of the time were reflected in the literature of those days. Such a literary work is the book of Zakaria Sargavak Kanakersi, which is a mixture of folk sagas, historical stories, and others. Despite the historical value of his work, it signifies the fall of the Armenian literature as a direct result of cruel historical realities. He used classical Armenian literature, which at that time was already contaminated with foreign elements, and as a result, the language was incomprehensible to the experts of the classical language of those times and our times as well. The classical Armenian was not understood by the general public, especially the illiterate, and the spoken language was only oral. Therefore, it is hard to put a value on the work of the writer Khachatur Apovyan from Kanakir, who rose up to the need of the time and caused a revolution in the Armenian literature and created what is called the new literature.